Happy New Year! When I finished playing Cyberpunk 2077's story for the first time, and sat there after the ending had finished and the credits had rolled, I wrote not even a review, it was just my thoughts. I wrote them in a notepad on my phone, and was going to record them and put them in a video because I realised they were too long for Instagram, which is my normal format. I then played the game a little bit more, and realised that that review was wrong. I rewrote it, then played the game some more, experienced two more endings, and realised that that review would also have been wrong. So this is my third attempt at making this video. Hopefully, it's my definitive review. Before we begin, a couple of things. Firstly, this video will have spoilers in it. If you don't want the game spoiled, then don't watch this video before you've experienced the game. And even then, I can't promise that there won't be things that are spoiled in this video that you haven't yet experienced. Secondly, this video is going to be mostly positive, because my experience so far with the game has been mostly positive. I'm running the game on a 1660 Ti, an i7 and 16GB of RAM on high, and the game runs smoothly. I've had one crash so far in about 150 hours of play. As I said in the intro, when I originally wrote this review, I had just finished playing through the main story with my first character, and the ending just hit me with a bunch of emotions, and then the messages that play during the credits hit me with even more, and I wrote something that isn't my opinion of the game, it's how I felt at the time. It was an instinct reaction, it wasn't properly thought out. So, after I'd cooled down, experienced a little bit more of the game, I decided to write down my thoughts. Now, the other night, I played through two more endings with my second character, and after experiencing that, and a little bit more of the game, I realised that my second draft, shall we call it, even that wouldn't have been definitive enough, and it was, again, kind of a reaction. So, I sat down, I thought about everything I've done in this game so far, and I wrote down my thoughts about this game. This is going to be, so far at least, hopefully I won't change my mind, we'll see, my definitive review for Cyberpunk 2077. So far, I have played through the main story with two characters, one whom I completed most of the side missions with, one who I completed a lot of the side missions, but nowhere near all of them. That was my first character, my second one I completed most of them with. I have experienced all three intros, and I have played the Corpo intro twice. I have about 150 hours logged on the game. GOG at one point didn't log a whole bunch of hours, so I don't have an exact time. I just know that I'm somewhere in the ballpark of 150 hours played on the game. I've experienced the Arasaka ending, where you do not go to Mikoshi. I have experienced the Panam/Nomad ending, where you do not join Alt, and I have experienced option 4, or take things into your own hands, the suicide option. The main story of this game is almost amazing, but falls ever so slightly and lands just under in great. Which it is. It's great to play, but it could have been amazing if it was slightly longer and if certain other things were different. I'll get the bad out of the way first, and then the positive. Our choice of life path at the beginning of the game, that is to say Nomad, Corpo, or Street Kid, really has no effect on the story. A few dialogue options change, and the intro that you play through changes. Other than that, I have noticed no major differences based on what life path you choose at the beginning of the game. Also, I really wish the game was longer. I'm at, again, as I said earlier, about 150 hours logged on GOG, and I've got two characters who have done all the main quests and a large percentage of the side quests. Now for the positive. It's really well written. I've played through all the main missions twice now, at least, and yeah, it is a good story. If, as I said, a little short, and whilst the choice you make at the start has no effect on the story realistically, the choice you make at the end is the most important one you will make in all of the game. So far, I've experienced 3 of the possible endings. I know there's at least 2 I haven't experienced, and I think there may be more than that, based on what choices you make during the actual endings. Of the ones I've experienced so far, the Nomad ending, or the Pan Am ending is definitely the best choice. It's the one that made me feel the happiest. The only issue I have with it, and I think this was based on my character level being 45 out of 50, is the boss fight with Adam Smasher was slightly easy, even though I was on hard. That's my only complaint about that. The first ending I experienced was the Arasaka ending. I finished playing through the main story with my first character, got to the ending, and I decided to go with the Arasaka ending. I played through it, and spoilers ahead, big ones, so turn away now if you don't want the Arasaka ending spoiled. I'm on the space station, V flips the bird to the door and walks out, I guess you could call it, and looks out to Earth. Pulls the necklace off. I was happy. I was a little bit confused and hoping we'd see V return to Earth, but at that point I was happy. Then the credits start playing, and I get Judy's message, and she is basically telling V that she doesn't ever want to hear from me again, and to have a good life. I had done nothing wrong to Judy at this point. We had been amicable, romanced even, and then that message hit me like a ton of bricks. It's why when I first wrote my review for the game, it wasn't a review for the game, it was a review for that ending, and how annoyed and confused and angry and happy and sad and all this mix of emotions that one ending had made me feel, because I was confused about just what the intent was behind it. The conversation also with Johnny during that ending, he's almost schizophrenic. On the one hand, he's still your friend, and on the other hand, he's telling you where to shove it. It's hilarious, and also quite sad. Anyway, I'm glad the review that I wrote then isn't the review I'm putting out now. The final ending I've experienced so far is Ending 4. Ending 4 is take things into your own hands. I read that the first time as throw away the pills that you're given where either you or Johnny gets control, and instead both of you just figure things out as you've been doing for the game so far. That's what I thought it would be. I then spoke to some friends who'd been playing through the game, and they were both like, no, it's going to be suicide, it's definitely going to be that. I held out hope that it wouldn't be, and after experiencing the Pan Am ending with my second character, I decided, hey, you know what, I'll go and see option 4. It won't take that long. Oh, how I was right, it didn't take that long, because would I know it, my friends were right, I was wrong, it's the suicide option. Now, if it was just suicide, I wouldn't be saying anything about it. I'd be happy that it's in the game as an option because it makes sense for the character. But where I need to congratulate CD Projekt Red is the amount of emotion that scene and that ending is able to just generate. The way the scene is written, where you and Johnny have one final conversation, is so tragic and so emotional. I love it. But the true weight is only when you get the messages during the credits. It's so well written and so exactly how people react to suicide. I don't know if somebody who was writing those scenes has had to deal with that in the past. I hope that's not from personal experience, but if it is, even if it isn't, congratulations. That made me tear up. Quite a bit. Congratulations. Option 4 is the worst possible ending to this game. If you want a canon playthrough, do not pick it. Unless that's your personal choice. But, however, I am so glad it's in the game as an option, and I would just like to congratulate CD Projekt Red on having the balls to put something like that in a video game, and not being like, we'll kind of dance around this. No, they went full force and were like, this is the consequences if somebody commits suicide. It's not them that has to deal with it, it's their loved ones. Slightly more positive note, some of the side missions are amazing and truly do feel like main story missions, especially anything involving Johnny. Anytime Johnny is on screen, I'm really glad they got Keanu because he does bring this charisma to the character. A charisma that unfortunately, when we talk about Johnny, I will explain why it's the worst thing about the character. Slight digression though. The other side missions that really could be main story missions, and if you do not play them, you will feel like you're missing out, are any missions that have to do with the four romanceable characters: Panam, Kerry, River, Judy. All four of those characters offer something different during their storylines and their individual side missions that they offer you. Some of them are better than others, in my opinion. I personally do not like River. That's just me, and I think it may be my personal preferences coming through. On the flip side of that coin, though, with my personal preferences, I didn't expect to like Kerry as much as I did, because normally in a video game, he wouldn't be my kind of character to go to, shall we say? Being a male romanceable character for a male character, not usually my personal preference. He is my favourite of the four characters. Panam and Judy are tied in second. Panam a little bit higher, maybe, based on the fact that she has her own ending. Judy just because I love the design. And River is at the bottom of those four characters, being my least favourite, just because I don't like him. Of the side content in the game, and especially the side missions, it's either good, great, or just there. None of it so far that I've experienced is egregious. Some of it's a little bit tedious, and I wish it had more engaging gameplay. The Cyber Psychos, for example, are a notable example, where you have to go around and find Cyber Psychos that Regina, one of the fixers in the game, gives to you. That's all well and good, but then there's a mission that you can randomly stumble across with a Cyber Psycho in it that's way more interesting, and unfortunately, once I'd experienced that mission, which takes place in a clothing shop, randomly, I kind of wished all of the Cyber Psycho missions were more like that, where I actually get to interact with the world instead of go to location, shoot person, but please try and not kill them because we want to cure them instead of just killing them. That's all well and good, but I wish it was more the option 1 instead of just go here and shoot something. Talking of shooting things, gameplay-wise, the game is solid. The vehicles do maybe handle a little bit sluggish sometimes, and some of the sights that you can attach to guns I feel need a little bit of polish because they're not the most readable in the world. Other than that, it's really good. There are so many different ways that you can approach situations. You can go in run and gun, you can stealth in, depending on which type of gun you prefer to use. If you use power guns, you can literally become Doomslayer from Doom. If you use smart guns, you can sit back and just aim. The gun will find where the enemies are if you have the right cyberware, and you just press the trigger and you will be fine. If you use tech weapons, which originally, in my second review, and this is one of the things I've changed since then, tech weapons are great. When I did my second review, I hadn't used them enough to really understand their full potential. Now I have. Comrade's Hammer 4-shot Adam Smasher in the boss fight I had with him. When I said that Adam Smasher was a little bit too easy, that is what I meant. I 4-shot him. That should not be possible, but I did, because tech weapons are great in certain situations. That's the thing. Depending on how you build your character and how you play the game, certain situations will be easier than others based on the choices you make, either in-game or in your build. But, then again, if guns are a little bit too conventional, you could always just use cyberware to wipe out an entire base without even having to go into the base. Contagion is definitely the best quick hack I've experienced in the game. I've not yet been able to use it to its full extent because I've not done a full quick hack build, not my personal type of playthrough so far, but I am going to try that on a third or fourth playthrough. We'll see. This thing, other than actually spending perk points in your skill trees to change how your gameplay feels, is cyberware. Depending on what cyberware you pick, you can be fully stealth if you pick the right legs, which make running silent, or you can be Doomslayer, as I said. I personally pick double jump, motion control so that I can dash in the air with my double jump, and then slow time when I dash so that I can slow time when I dash in the air because of my double jump. It's amazing. That and a shotgun is just all you need in this game to have a good time, in my opinion. Johnny and V's relationship is a bit of a weird one. I really like the character of Johnny, and I think Keanu's performance is amazing. The problem I have with it is every time I'm drawn to Keanu's charisma and just amazing performance, I'm always reminded that, no, Johnny Silverhand nuked thousands of people just because Arasaka kind of did a bad thing one time to his girlfriend. I know it's not as simple as that, but he is kind of petty and his morals are a little bit skewed. Talking of Alt, Johnny's ex, slash, I don't really know what, it's never really explained where they were at in their relationship at any point. Anyway, Alt, my least favourite character in this game. I hate her. I really wish there was an option, maybe there is in one of the endings, but I wish there was an option in one of the endings where I could kill her, because Arasaka I at least know is evil. Alt, I don't know if she's evil. I get the feeling she is. Every conversation we ever have with her, I doubt her intentions. And even Johnny doubts them at some points. And if Johnny doubts them, yeah. Please give me an option to kill her next time, CD Projekt Red. And this may just be my personal preference, but Rogue and Johnny is a way more interesting pairing than Alt and Johnny. Rogue is a very interesting character and I haven't yet played her ending, so maybe I'll find out more when I play that ending. But so far what I've experienced of her, she is one of the more interesting characters in the game. Also one of the only fixers that actually interacts with the main story, other than Dex, who dies, spoiler, and Wakako. But she barely interacts with the main story. On night of release, I sat down and started playing as soon as I could. I played for quite a while. I got very far into the main story that night because I just wanted to experience this game. I had a few visual glitches, but they were minor at most. The biggest glitch I had that night was at one point I tried climbing through a window in a mission with Panam and got fired back 200 meters. It actually was kind of funny. I kind of wanted to be able to replicate it, haven't been able to since. Other than that, I had no problems. I went to bed, and then when I woke up, I looked on social media to see how other people's experiences were going, and realised, console players especially are not enjoying this game anywhere near as much as I am, because it's not running for them. I'm not here to point the finger or throw blame at anyone or anything, because I also don't feel like I can do such a thing. I don't feel like I have enough experience in the area of development of video games where I would be knowledgeable enough to know who to point the finger at or who to blame. However, what I can say as a gamer that has played the game and enjoyed it on PC, I have no experience with the console version, I just know that it's not running well. However, with the PC version, I've only had one crash. I've had quite a few visual glitches or bugs, but nothing major, really. Just one major crash. However, that's not actually my biggest problem with the game. My biggest problem with the game, and the biggest negative I have so far with it, is whilst the world of Night City feels very lively and like there's lots of stuff, it also feels like there's a lot of things missing. Pacifica is my notable example of this. Pacifica feels very empty, and especially when I accidentally got behind an invisible wall and was able to see that actually half of Pacifica isn't really there, it's just buildings as set dressing. Which I do understand, I wasn't expecting all of Pacifica to be there, but it's quite a lot of Pacifica that's not even anything. And even the bits of Pacifica that are there, there's not much content there. There's even smaller aspects of the game that also feel like they're lacking that either should have been in the game or were going to be and just aren't. For example, why can't I change my hair mid-game? Lots of RPGs let you do this. Why can't I in this game? Another small nitpick, because I'm just doing small nitpicks at the moment, is what's the point of picking my genitalia at the start of the game when it has no effect in game, and you've even now put in place a system where you can't see it? That makes no sense to me. And then there's the biggest one, in my opinion, the life paths. There is no point to the life paths as far as I can see, except your intro, and you might get one or two little side missions to do, and a few lines of dialogue that are different. Other than that, you basically do your intro, and then it's same old V. I'm not trying to complain. These are just a few negatives I've picked up on in the game that have unfortunately irked me. And the life path one is the biggest one, because I really thought that the choices we made at the start of the game would really affect our gameplay, and it doesn't feel like it affects it as much as we were told it would. This game is far from perfect, and it was released in a state that feels like it needs a lot of TLC and quite a fair bit of polish. But I have faith in CD Projekt Red, based on what they've done in the past with games, and based on things they've said and are doing, that they will bring that polish to this game. I'm looking very forward to playing this game over the next year, over the next 2 years, hopefully in the next 5 years. I hope to play this game in a decade from now and be like, wow, this really is one of the best games I've ever played. Currently, I can say that it is one of the better games I've played, but it's just lacking a few things to make it really amazing. Currently, it's just great with quite a few problems. Another thing I'm looking very forward to about this game is mods and the community around the game. There's already a few little mods that have been developed that are quite interesting, and there's some mods that are in development that look to have quite a lot of potential with this game, and I hope that continues into the future. As well, the expansions down the road and free DLCs are of course going to be quite interesting, and I will play them when they come out. My plan for now is to just continue enjoying this game, playing a few other things. When it comes to Cyberpunk, I do have an idea that I want to try and do. I don't have an idea on the format yet, so we'll see. I'll keep people posted on that on my social media, link in description. Other than that, I'm hoping to be more active here this year, but I make no promises. Thanks.